The prank that went way too far. I teach history at a high school in Iowa. It's a pretty chill job. Decent kids, tolerable coworkers. Nothing all that exciting ever really happens, so once a year, on April Fool's Day, I let myself go a little beyond writing pop quiz today on the board. This year, I decided to step it up, citing this. Like, really step it up, citing this. I was gonna prank the seniors, big time, citing. So on the morning of April 1st, I walked into the teacher's lounge, holding a printed out document that looked exactly like an official CDC email. I mean, the logo, formatting, signature line, even the QR code was legit. It just led to the CDC website, nothing shady. The document said there'd been a local outbreak of some unidentified virus, and in order to prevent the spread, our school was being shut down immediately. All students were to be transported by bus to a temporary quarantine facility, where they'd stay under medical supervision, with food and shelter provided. It sounded serious, and it looked completely real. I printed a few copies, dropped one in the lounge, posted one in the front hallway. But the main part? I sent the announcement through the school's internal email system with a note to the staff. Wait for the loudspeaker announcement. At exactly 10:15 a.m., I went into the security office, turned on the PA system, and read the message in my best serious government issue voice. Per order of the regional CDC office, all senior students will be evacuated to a designated quarantine zone. Please be ready to depart at 10:45. Remain calm. The reaction, let's just say it was intense. Mujas. At first, total silence. That awkward kind, like nobody knows if this is for real or not. Mujas. Then, chaos. I could hear students running through the hallways. Some were whispering, others were frantically calling their parents. One kid was literally sitting in the main hallway, hyperventilating into his hands. Someone shouted into their phone, "Mom, they're taking us away!" Another tried to bolt out the front doors. A girl in one class started crying. One dude had a full-blown panic attack. The gym teacher later told me he'd never seen someone's face change colors that fast. I was watching it all play out on the security cams, and yeah, I had mixed feelings. Part of me was like, okay, this went too far. The other part? Come on. It's April frickin' Fools. 10 minutes in, once the building was one step away from full-blown meltdown, I grabbed the mic again, switched on the PA, and said, "All right, everyone, you're fine. It was a prank. April Fools. Nobody's going anywhere. Deep breaths. You're breathing real air. It's all under control." A few teachers looked at me like I'd just kicked their dog. Our principal, though, old guy, total cynic, just smirked and said, "Hey, better than last year's lunchroom cockroach stunt." Things slowly calmed down. The kids started laughing. A few even clapped. One came up and shook my hand. Even the guy who had the panic attack later said, "That was terrifying, but kinda epic." And for a second I thought, okay, we're good, nailed it, just a harmless prank. What I didn't know. That was only the beginning. The next day I walked into work feeling like I had everything under control. The tapif. We had our little freakout, everyone got a laugh, and the chaos died down. Sure, a couple of parents sent in complaints, but nothing serious. I even thought, maybe next year I'll keep it more low-key. But around 9 a.m., the principal called me into his office. Didn't even say hello. Just, "Come with me. You need to see something." He pulled up an email on his computer. From cdc.gov. Subject: Urgent notification. Potential outbreak of unidentified virus in your district. I started reading. And I swear, I felt this cold ripple go right down my spine. Jewresh. It was word for word what I had written the day before. Jewresh. The bit about the evacuation. Jewresh. The mobile quarantine camp. The students gathering outside at 10:45. Even the damn signature line was identical. But this time, it didn't look like a joke. It looked official. Like, dead serious. "Was this you?" the principal asked. I could barely speak. No, sir, mine was fake. I sent it from a spoofed address. It was just a prank." He didn't say anything. Just turned on the news. There it was, live footage. At a school in Arkansas, people in hazmat suits were standing by the entrance. Barricades. Buses lined up. The reporter was saying, Officials aren't commenting, but sources confirm it's being treated as a viral threat. Similar alerts have been sent to other schools. I was still holding on to hope. Maybe this was a statewide prank? Some kind of wild coincidence? But then, at exactly 10:10, we heard the screech of tires outside. Beck's ballad. Black vans pulled up. A bunch of people in full hazmat gear walked straight into the building, carrying weird equipment cases like they were setting up something big. They didn't ask permission, didn't explain anything. They just moved like they'd done this a dozen times already today. One of them walked right up to me and said, "Brian Carter, you're the origin point. Come with us." And that's when it hit me. They weren't here because of a virus. They were here because of my email. The one I made up. The joke. Unless it wasn't. At first, I kept telling myself this had to be some elaborate revenge prank. Maybe one of the students had rich parents or government connections and decided to turn the tables on me. But minute by minute, that theory stopped making any kind of sense. That fad. They rounded us up in the gym. Every student, every teacher, even the janitors. At the door, they handed out white plastic wristbands, like hospital bands. No names, just numbers. It's for tracking movement. Standard procedure, one of the hazmat guys explained. Kids were whispering, panicking again. One student, Josh, tried to slip out a side exit when no one was looking. The door opened. He stepped outside, and then he was gone. Not ran away and disappeared. Gone. Gone. On the security footage, you can literally see him pass the outer gate and just blink out of the frame. Like the feed glitched. One frame he's there, next frame, nothing. Everyone who saw it went dead silent, even the security guards. Later, I tried one of the exits myself. Locked. Through the window, I saw something that hadn't been there that morning. A tall, temporary fence around the school. Steel, topped with barbed wire. It stretched around the entire campus. In just a few hours, they had sealed the whole place off. "I want to leave," I told one of the suits. "That's not possible right now. I'm not infected." "We're not saying you are. But we can't let you go." "Why not?" He looked at me through his plastic face shield and said, "Because this started with you." And that's when I realized. The prank had stopped being a prank, and I had no idea anymore what part of this I had made up, and what was actually real. I have no idea how much time has passed. A day? A week? More? More. Every morning, the school bell rings. Morning, single morning. Same time, same time. It rings for first period, even though the building's completely empty. The classrooms, they follow the schedule like nothing's changed. You walk in, and there's already something written on the board. Clear handwriting. Neat. Not mine. Not any teachers I recognize. Lesson topic. Objectives. Assignments. Sometimes, questions. For who? Me. I tried cutting the power. The bell kept ringing. I wiped the board clean. 2 hours later, the writing came back. I sat in my own classroom and heard someone teaching in the room next door. Footsteps. A voice. Chalk scraping on the board. But when I opened the door, nothing. Always nothing. At first, I thought maybe the students were hiding. Then I thought I was losing my mind. Now I just go with it. I show up to class. I write on the board. I lecture to no one. Sometimes, I hear whispers, like someone is quietly answering from the back row. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the glass, and it's half a second behind me. By Kivyuan, everyone else is gone. By Kivyuan. The students, my coworkers, Maidro Allers. The people in hazmat suits. Maidro. No one comes anymore, by Kivyuan. Just the school. By Kivyuan. By Kivyuan. By Kivyuan. By Kivyuan. Just the school. It hasn't shut down, Kivyuan. It's still operating. On its own rules. Following some kind of schedule that I must have accidentally triggered. I don't even know if it was ever a joke. Maybe this didn't start on April Fool's. Maybe I just stumbled into a story that was already written. Prank in the Forest. This happened last spring, and honestly, I still get chills whenever I hear branches crack underfoot. A few of us had gone camping, just to get away from everything for a bit. Me, my girlfriend Jen, our buddy Cody, and his girlfriend Rachel. No big plans. Pitch a tent, sit around a fire, roast marshmallows, talk into the night. We picked this really secluded spot about an hour outside of Portland. Unofficial campground. One of those places locals don't advertise, but everyone knows exists. It was the night before April Fool's, and of course, Cody couldn't help himself. He's always that guy. The one pulling dumb pranks, hiding fake spiders, leaving notes in your boots that say you're cursed. This time though, he and Jen cooked up something a little more elaborate. A serious prank, as he called it. The plan was simple. Cody convinced some guy he knew, a dude named Trevor, to show up in the middle of the night and pretend to be a wild forest hermit. You know the type. Muttering in the bushes, tossing sticks at tents, creeping around like he hasn't seen people in a decade. Nothing violent. Just weird, creepy, let's freak them out kind of energy. We'll catch the whole thing on GoPros, Cody said. The reactions are gonna be gold. Just don't go overboard, Rachel warned, pulling her sleeping bag shut. I'm more afraid of people with sticks than I am of bears. We laughed. It felt like a normal night in the woods. They showed Trevor the spot earlier that day. Moe's. He was supposed to show up around 2 a.m. once everyone was asleep. They even planned his look. Ripped old pants, a hooded jacket, a flashlight wrapped in cloth to dim the beam. Classic creepy woodsman silhouette. What I didn't know was that Trevor wouldn't be the only one who showed up that night. Meshkana. And at least one of them wasn't someone we knew. Around midnight, Cody and Jen set up a few GoPros. Little ones he strapped to tree trunks or hid in the branches. He even duct taped one to a makeshift pole we'd brought for ambience. They gave Trevor a mask, half rubber, half torn up cloth with eye holes. He wore an old coat that smelled like smoke and mildew, like something pulled out of a basement fire. By 1 a.m., we were sitting around the fire. The sky was getting cloudy, and the forest around us was getting too quiet. A little after 2, everyone headed into their tents. Rachel and I had no idea what was planned. Boro, I figured it'd be a normal night. Chilly, full of crickets, and the occasional crackle of dying embers. Then at 2:17 a.m., I remember the exact time, I heard something outside, a scraping sound, wood on wood, then footsteps, slow, deliberate, almost theatrical. I sat up, peeked out of the tent, nothing, then a low thump against a branch, and Rachel jolted upright. Did you hear that? Before we could even process it, the bushes near our tent rustled, and through the trees, we saw it. A tall figure with a crooked head, holding a flashlight that gave off this dim reddish glow. Who is that? Rachel yelled. And just as she did, a second shadow moved on the other side of the tent. Hoos, she screamed. Hoos, a dove for the zipper. We stumbled out of the tent, tripping over ourselves, and that's when we heard it. Laughter, loud, cracking up, can't breathe kind of laughter. It was Cody and Jen, standing by the fire, phones out. April Fools, Cody shouted. Marcus, you should have seen your face. Trevor walked up, pulled off the mask, laughing his ass off too. We all calmed down eventually, sat by the fire for a while, replayed the footage on Cody's phone. Even I started laughing, but what we didn't know at the time, Trevor wasn't the only one on that video. Cody was the first one up the next morning. He was already in full Cody mode, sipping coffee from his thermos, chomping on a sandwich, tossing out jokes like it was just another chill morning. All right, who wants to see the exact moment you and Rachel freaked the hell out? He grinned, pulling up one of the camera feeds on his phone. We all gathered around him. The first couple minutes were exactly as planned. Trevor showed up in frame, creeping around, muttering. The flashlight under his mask lit up his face in that classic horror movie way. It looked gross, it was perfect. You could see our tent shaking, then us bursting out. Cody and Jen dying of laughter in the background. But then, something weird. At 3:12 on the timeline, a second figure showed up in the shot. Left side. Just off center. Same height. Same kind of ripped clothing, but a different mask. It looked like burnt fabric with holes cut out for the eyes. He didn't move. He just stood there, watching, while Trevor did his thing. Who's that? I asked. That's not Trevor, Cody muttered, rewinding, then fast-forwarding. I only asked one guy to come out. Trevor was alone. Rachel didn't say anything. Jen stared at the screen, squinting like maybe it was a camera glitch or one of us playing around. but the video was clear. At one point, Trevor and the second figure step into frame at the same time, from opposite sides. And just as Rachel and I come flying out of the tent, the second wild man slowly turns his head, right toward the camera. Not suddenly. Not like he was surprised. Like he already knew it was there. And his face. He wasn't wearing a mask. His face was blurry. Like the camera just couldn't focus on it, even though everything else was crystal clear. Could it be someone local? Jen asked quietly. Nobody lives out here, Cody replied. Next closest house is 20 miles away. We all sat there, silent, except for Trevor. He was just staring at the paused frame on the phone. That wasn't with me, he said quietly. I didn't see that guy. We watched the footage over and over. Trevor was easy to recognize. The way he walked, the flashlight, the moment he crouched by the tent. But behind him, just a few feet back, that second figure was mimicking his movements, leaning when he leaned, lifting a hand the same way. Mabus, even the steps, just a second or two delayed. It's like he's copying Trevor, Rachel said, leaning in, like mirroring him. On one of the other cameras, the one further out, a third figure appeared, way off to the side, didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there. Okay, that's too much, Cody said, his voice dead serious now. I only brought Trevor, that's it. Jen started throwing out explanations. Maybe a hiker? A hunter? But none of us believed that. Who just randomly wanders through the woods at 2 a.m., copying someone's creepy performance for a prank they weren't even invited to? We decided to check the area. Right near one of the cameras, we found footprints. Big ones, barefoot, no shoes. And they led deeper into the woods, a part we hadn't even thought to explore. About 30 meters in, we found the first marking on a tree. It was carved deep, a circle, with a cross inside it and two wavy lines beneath. That wasn't you, right? I asked Cody. He just shook his head. Then we found another one. And another, like someone was leaving a trail. And the creepy part? The trail started at our campsite, which meant someone came to us, not the other way around. And by the time we realized that, it was already too late. That night, we didn't bother with a fire. Very good, no one was in the mood. Was it? Even Trevor said he was leaving first thing in the morning. Was barely speaking. We all just sat in our tents, barely speaking. Very good. The glow from our flashlights didn't light up the dark. It just cut into it, like we were slicing shadows. Around midnight, I stepped out to grab some water, and noticed Cody was gone. Jen, where's Cody? He said he was going to take a leak, like 10 minutes ago. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. We started calling his name, then shouting, then searching. We found him maybe 30 meters from the camp, standing perfectly still among the trees. No flashlight, no shoes. Cody. Dude, what the hell? I'm fine, he said quietly, like he was waking up from a dream. I just stepped out. You were gone for almost half an hour. I didn't realize. I thought I just left. He was shaking. He couldn't explain what happened. Kept saying, I'm fine. But he wasn't. You could tell. Something had looked at him out there. And maybe it still was. The next morning, we packed up fast. No breakfast. No talking. We just stuffed our gear into the car and got ready to leave as fast as humanly possible. I shut the trunk, and suddenly, it swung open again. Inside, between the sleeping bags and thermoses, there was a piece of paper, folded neatly into quarters. I picked it up, handwritten. Nice prank. Now it's our turn. No name, no date, nothing else. Except, right next to the handwriting, that same symbol from the trees. A circle, a cross inside, two wavy lines beneath it. We haven't been camping since. And whenever someone brings up the idea of pulling a prank, Cody, Jen, and I, we just get up and leave. The neighbor who disappeared. I live on the 3rd floor of a small apartment building in Denver. It's a quiet place, identical doors, welcome mats, that morning smell of coffee, and the occasional pizza wafting in at night. Across the hall from me lived Mr. Roberts. He's probably in his 60s, always dressed neatly, hair combed just right, and that kind of polite, slightly tired smile older folks carry around like a habit. He wasn't much of a talker, but he always nodded, always said good morning, tea. Sometimes he'd comment on the weather or joke about the trash someone left by the stairs. Hetemometh. But for the past week, I hadn't seen him. I figured maybe he went on vacation. Or got sick, but something felt off. His door stayed closed. The hallway light outside his place still flicked on sometimes, like someone was walking by. Maybe he went home. And the food tray that had been left outside? Gone. But the trash can on the landing? Still full, still untouched. Like no one had come out in days. Then came April 1st, and I decided to add a little harmless humor to the usual routine. I printed out a fake court summons. It said, "You are hereby summoned to court for excessive politeness and chronic neighborliness. Failure to appear may result in a lifetime sentence of smiling." I folded it up, slid it under his door, and quietly walked back to my place with a grin on my face. The door never opened. No sound from inside. It was just a silly prank, completely harmless, but if I had known what that little joke would lead to, I would have never gone near his door. The next morning I was rushing out. I had a Zoom meeting and was already late. As I turned down the hallway, I froze. Mr. Roberts' door was cracked open. Not all the way, but enough to see the darkness behind it. No light, no familiar smell of his morning coffee drifting out. I knocked gently. Nothing. Pushed the door open a little more. What I saw didn't match the man I knew. The apartment was completely empty. Not just cleaned out, like no one had lived there in years. Dust everywhere. Bare outlets. No curtains. The kitchen? Not even a single cup or spoon. So much dust it felt untouched. Like the air itself hadn't moved in forever. I backed out slowly and headed downstairs. The front desk guy was on shift. I asked, "Hey, Mr. Roberts from 3B. Is he okay? His door's open and..." He didn't even let me finish. "Mr. Roberts? He moved out like 2 weeks ago. Packed up quietly. Didn't even hire a realtor. Did it all himself." "What?" I blinked. "No, that's not right. I talked to him 2 days ago. He said, 'Have a nice day.' I saw him." The guy just shrugged. Say. I helped carry out his boxes. He gave back the keys personally. Maybe you imagined it?" I didn't reply. I just kept thinking about that court summons I slid under the door. And the fact that it was gone. Not crumpled in the hallway. Not untouched. Someone had taken it. I went back to my apartment feeling weird, like I'd missed something important, or someone was messing with me. Mr. Roberts couldn't have moved out 2 weeks ago. I saw him just the night before last. He was coming back from the store, wearing that same checked shirt, carrying that same canvas bag he always used. He smiled at me, nodded, and said, "See you tomorrow, Miss Carter." I remember thinking how sweet it was that he was always so polite. I sat down, opened my laptop, and pulled up the security cam app. I've got a basic camera in the hallway. It faces my door and catches his too. I scrubbed back through the last few days. Found the night I remembered. There it was, 6:42 p.m. Mr. Roberts walks into frame. Same shirt, same bag. Smiles. Unlocks his door. Monsing goes inside. Monsing, I keep watching. That night, Monsing get entire day. That entire day. Monsing get entire day. No one comes out. Monsing get inside. I rewound it, watched it frame by frame. Nothing. He walked in and never came back out. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, and then the thought hit me. If he disappeared, then who picked up the summons? I replayed the footage, but this time I wasn't just skimming. I watched every second, frame by frame, trying to catch something I might have missed. And then, right before Mr. Roberts enters his apartment, he stops, just stands there, frozen in front of his door for a couple seconds. Then, slowly, he turns his head straight toward the camera. Not a quick glance. A slow, deliberate movement, like he knew I'd be watching. Like the camera wasn't just recording. It was a set of eyes. My eyes. And then he smiles. But not his usual smile. It's tight. Uncomfortable. Forced. Like someone pretending to be human. Itchy. I jerked back from the screen. Dilisa. Sat down and told myself it was just coincidence. Itchy. A random glance. Lust eyes. The camera's tiny. Maybe he didn't even know where it was. I tried to forget about it over the next few days. Told myself he really had moved out. That everything else was just my brain filling in blanks. The apartment across the hall was empty. The hall was quiet. The hall was quiet. Everything should have felt normal. But it didn't. It got worse. I started hearing things. At night. Soft, muffled footsteps. Pacing back and forth in the apartment across from mine. Then a cough. A very specific cough. That little rasp at the end I used to hear every morning from Mr. Roberts when he stepped out for his walk. The next night. Running water. Like someone taking a shower. I even started wondering, maybe someone new had moved in? But every time I stepped out to check, the hallway was silent. The door across from mine was closed. No sounds. No light sounds. No sign that anyone else was in there. It felt like the noise was meant only for me. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. One night, the footsteps came again, exactly at 3:11 a.m. And then, I heard a closet door open. Then slam shut. Inside the empty apartment, I called the police. 2 officers showed up pretty quickly. I told them everything. The sounds, the fact that the guy supposedly moved out, and that something weird was going on in there. They knocked. No response. The concierge gave them a master key. They opened the door. Nothing. No furniture. No noise. Not even dust this time. Just sterile. Like someone had cleaned it top to bottom just before they arrived. Had drawers. One of the officers walked further in to look around. And that's when I saw it. Hedgerows. Sitting on the otherwise empty table. My fake summons, the one I'd printed, folded the same way. Same font. Same wording. Except now, there was one line added, written in red pen. Not my handwriting. You pulled a prank. Now it's my turn. The cops didn't find anything. Filed a quick report. Told me it was probably just some weird joke. But the joke didn't stop. The kippy to cheat. Since that night, every single morning, I wake up to find an envelope on my kitchen table. The kippy cheat. No stamp, no address, no sound of a door opening or anyone coming in. Inside is a piece of paper. Sometimes it says, "Good morning," other days, "See you soon." And once, it said, "You weren't supposed to go in there." I changed the locks. I installed cameras inside the apartment, but every morning, nothing on the footage, no movement, no sign of entry. And still, the letter is there. Exactly at 7 a.m. I don't respond anymore. I don't ask questions. I just read the message. From someone I used to call my neighbor. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment and like it. It will help us grow. Until next time in the next video, bye.